America doesn't believe in democracy. Britain doesn't believe in democracy. Amsterdam doesn't believe in democracy. Paris doesn't believe in democracy. They believe in domination. I don't care how many democratically elected presidents you get in Africa. If that democratically elected president doesn't carry out the agenda of the global white power structure, he will be overthrown, whether he was put in office through a vote or not. The white man does not believe in democracy. It's only a weapon that they use to achieve their ends, and they have no problem disposing with their weapon of democracy when it doesn't serve their agenda.
Dr. Umar Johnson is an American activist, social media personality, and a motivational speaker. Dr. Johnson is a self-identified Pan-Africanist who is very vocal about the well-being of African continent. I have come across one of his controversial videos which he has accused the Western country of imposing democracy on Africa, and also touched on some secrets which is hindering the African progress. I want us to watch this particular video. I will be back.
Well, number one, I think African people globally, because we all suffer from this exploitation through the so-called democracy. We have to do a better job of choosing our leaders, number one. We do not do a good job as African people choosing our leaders. We largely allow them to select themselves.
Yeah.
They anoint themselves and then they come before us. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to select. We're supposed to do the research, the investigation, and decide who we want to represent us. You don't have somebody come and tell you they're going to represent you. That's totally backwards. That's number one. Number two, if we want African politicians, whether in America, whether in Africa, whether in the Caribbean, to be loyal to African people, we have to finance them. Any black politician, I don't care how well-meaning they are, if they got to go to white people to get financing for their political party, if they got to go to white people to get financing for their campaign, ultimately they're going to carry out a white agenda, because the hand that pays is the hand that rules. Yeah. So if you want your politicians to be loyal to you and the black community, you have to finance them. But we don't do that. In South Africa, many of your politicians are financed by white people. In America, our black politicians are financed by white people. In the Caribbean, they're financed by white people. If you want to change that, if you want to stop being exploited by fake black politicians, start selecting them yourself and start funding them yourself. I don't believe you can save every African, and I'm not interested in doing that. The freedom struggle is not a utopia. You saw that here. The South African freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. Yeah. The Ghanaian freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. The Congolese freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. The American freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. There will always be reactive, anti-African elements, even amongst our own people. Yeah. Cut off the cancer and grow with those who are interested in being free. The worst thing you can do is try to bring every South African into the fold in your next liberation struggle. Because truth be told, some of us have been so indoctrinated, so brainwashed by the white power structure that we will kill you before we kill apartheid. Black Panther, I believe, was a CIA-backed movie. One thing you need to know about the United States, there is a congressional committee that supervises all movies that are released from Hollywood. And if you intend to produce a movie that is hostile to American interests, that movie will never be released. On top of that, the CIA and the FBI, they pay movie studios to include content that is favorable to America's agenda. When you look at the first Black Panther, the hero of the movie wasn't Prince T'Challa. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Yeah. It was CIA agent Ross, the white man who flew the plane back and actually saved Zuri, the Panther's sister. How can the CIA agent be a hero in an African movie when the CIA is responsible for destabilizing most African countries, responsible for the assassination of most African leaders? Who ordered the assassination of Patrice Lumumba? The CIA. Who provided intelligence to the apartheid government to help capture Nelson Mandela's and the other ANC leaders in exile? The CIA. Who had Maurice Bishop assassinated in Grenada? The CIA. So you mean to tell me the one governmental structure that was responsible for overthrowing and assassinating so many African leaders is now a hero? in an African movie for African children, complete propaganda. And as far as Wakanda Forever, the second movie, it was absolutely disgusting. I almost walked out. And you know why? Our children were so empowered with Black Panther 1. You come back for Black Panther 2. And you mean to tell me the Mexicans have the same vibranium as the Wakandans? The Mexicans got the same power as the Wakandans. So what's so special about the Wakandans if you're going to take all their power and give it to the Mexicans? And when you watch the movie, the Mexicans kick our ass through the whole movie. I couldn't take my child to go and watch that. I'm not going to take my child to go and watch that. Why would you put out a movie on a Black superhero and allow his entire community to get destroyed by an army of Mexicans? I also think that that was a CIA-fronted movie, and I think the message there was to desensitize American Africans to the coming oppression and replacement of them by the Mexican immigrants. Right now in Chicago, our second largest Black city, you know what's happening? Joe Biden and the U.S. government is bringing busloads of Hispanics into Chicago to use them to do what? Help push Black people out. Gentrify Black Chicago, and also take over all the unused social services so Black people can get nothing. Wakanda Forever was a prelude of what's going to happen to Black America over the next 20 years. The reason why America invaded Afghanistan 9/11, 2001 is because the Taliban burned the poppy seed. Afghanistan is the #1 opium producing nation in the world. And do you know what Colin Powell, rest in peace, who at the time was Secretary of State, he gave the Afghani government $10 to $20 million to replant the poppy seed. What does the American government care about poppy seed? They care about the dope. America, China, and Britain are the biggest drug dealers on the planet. You can sell drugs with their permission, but if you get caught selling drugs without their permission, they destroy you. Just go ask Freeway Ricky Ross. We're not against any race. We wish the best to the Latino family. And of course, Latino Africans are our brothers and sisters. Okay, so we don't see them any differently as we see anyone else. We wish the best to the Asian family, Caucasian family, Arab, Indian. We wish goodwill to all human groups. But our priority is to ourselves. And we will not allow any group, not Chinese, not Arab, not Indian, not European Jew, not Anglo-Saxon, to impede the progress of African people. So we're not against nobody else. The problem is these other groups are against us often because nobody wants to help Africa, but everybody wants to loot Africa.
True.
You see, God set up the world in such a way that we have all the resources. Nobody can live without Africa. But Africa don't need anybody else to survive. So that automatically means what? They have to come and take from Africa. And they do it in such an exploitative way that we don't get anything out of the deal. So in essence, many of these groups become natural enemies of African people. Europeans are natural enemies of African people. Europe has almost nothing. They cannot survive without Africa. See, the vampire metaphor, you know, the vampire is very popular in European imagination because the European is a vampire. What is a vampire? A blood-sucking demon. And what has the European been doing in Africa for the past 300 years? Sucking the mineral and economic blood out of Black people. It's time to crucify the vampire. Do you know that there's been about 12 coups in Africa over the past 5 years? And nearly every coup was in a country where Barack Obama built a U.S. military base. No coincidence. America doesn't believe in democracy. Britain doesn't believe in democracy. Amsterdam doesn't believe in democracy. Paris doesn't believe in democracy. They believe in domination. I don't care how many democratically elected presidents you get in Africa. If that democratically elected president doesn't carry out the agenda of the global white power structure, he will be overthrown, whether he was put in office through a vote or not. The white man does not believe in democracy. It's only a weapon that they use to achieve their ends, and they have no problem disposing with their weapon of democracy when it doesn't serve their agenda.
I don't really care about people's opinion about this man. Some people think he exaggerates and he has most of his opinions are cooked and controversial. But most of the times when I listen to him, whatever he's saying, he knows his stuff. and he's saying the facts. He has been very vocal about Pan-Africanism ideologies, and he has been one of the activists who has been fighting for African success story. When we talk of African success story, he has been pioneering this agenda. And I think most of the stuff he says, he knows what he's talking about. It's about time Africa we wake up. And if we are going to wake up, we have to wake up in a certain way that we are not going back to sleep again. Because most of our people has been brainwashed. Most of our people has been drive away from the reality. A lot of us in Africa, Africans in diaspora, still think there is nothing wrong in the continent, and whatever happening is because of our way of doing things. But what they should remember is that a continent that was colonized for more than 400 years can never be the same until the people decide to liberate themselves. Because our school systems, our how should you call it, our traditional systems, our culture, everything has been changed to suit the white man's idea. So we are lost in this world. We don't know our identity. We don't know our history. We just walk around and being discriminate. We walk around and being discriminated around the world. And we don't see anything wrong with it. Yes, there's something wrong with it. And until we liberate ourselves and recalibrate our mindset, it's going to be difficult for us to succeed. Please, you can join my Telegram group by going through the description box and clicking on the Telegram link you find in the description box. In our group, we discuss about the well-being of Africa and how Africa can move forward. So you can join us, and also if this is your first time, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. Thanks for watching.